Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Nate Gaffney. In this video, I wanted to review some of the content that I got in January and in February using the Canon R5. I'm gonna be showing videos and photos, and this is a format that I'm looking at keeping to do kind of at the end of every month, just like a photo or content review at the end of every month. Tell you what I like, tell you what I don't like about the content that I've created. And yeah guys, thanks for stopping by. Also, tomorrow is my birthday. If you want to give me an early birthday present, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you come back. So the way that I kind of want these videos to work is just kind of a really chill space where we can all come together and look at photos and videos, and I can discuss what I like and what I don't like. So I received the Canon R5 on January the 6th. I immediately took it out for some photos and videos, as one does, and so I'm gonna start there, just kind of at the beginning. This is actually the first photo that I took with the camera. Now typically in these videos I'm not going to share photos that I think don't reflect me as an artist or my level as a photographer or whatever, but you know, this is the first photo that I took with the camera, and so I just included this one for fun. But this is my husky bear, and this photo is meaningful because it's the first photo that I ever took with the R5. One of the first things that I noticed while editing my first photo that I took with the R5 is the dynamic range. The highlights and the shadows were both really easy to recover in this photo, and I loved the way that the photo quality actually looks in the camera. This is actually the first mirrorless camera that I've owned, and on that first day of using the camera, it was a little bit of a learning curve, but then again, a lot of things were intuitive, and so I was able to get this shot that I thought was pretty cool for my first shot. So that's the first photo, you guys. Now I want to move on to photos that I actually might post online, photos that I want to critique a little bit more, say what I like about it, say what I don't like about it. But with this photo, I took it in the woods. I think it was the second day I had the camera, and I wanted to go out and kind of test using the flip out screen because that wasn't really something that I was used to. And so I was taking some photos and I managed to capture this one. I love the moss, the way that the moss looks, and the way that the camera was able to capture a lot of that detail in actual like shapes and shadows and all of that. I like the way the moss looks in this photo, and I like the kind of perspective. The way I took this photo, as I was holding the camera, I tilted it back a little bit because I wanted to get sort of an elongated look through the tree. One thing that I would change about this photo maybe is the amount of light coming through. That's unnatural lighting. I put a gradient in that top right corner to give a bunch of light, but I think maybe I could make this photo a little bit moodier or something. I didn't post this photo anywhere, and I didn't use this photo for anything. It was more just experimental at this phase, but I think if I was going back, I might even mess around with composition and see if I can't elongate those trees even a little bit more. I like the photo, but it wasn't really anything too crazy for me, and so I didn't post it anywhere. So next up, I got this photo of my dog Bear. We're in the woods. It's winter in New Brunswick, and we had just gotten some snow that day. This is back in January, and so I took Bear out and I got some photos, and I really love this photo. There's so much detail, and this is the first time that I actually used animal eye detection in the R5, and I found it worked really well. As soon as I pointed the camera at my dog Bear, the camera just picked up on her eye right away. I clicked the button and it was a really sharp image, and the autofocus in this camera makes it really easy. Typically with my photography, I won't post a picture of my dog on my Instagram, for example. I like to keep that kind of like with wildlife and landscape, but it did actually end up posting this photo because I really like the colors and the vibe. I found it was very moody, and that the camera did a really good job of picking up all those details. Her fur looks really good in this photo. Lots of detail there, and so I was really happy with this photo. One thing that I might change is actually make the photo darker and add a little bit more light to make it dramatic, or go in the completely opposite direction and remove some of the contrast. I'm in the space right now where I'm trying to figure out, do I want my photographs to be more contrasty, or do I want them to be less contrasty and kind of have, you know, more of that grainy film style cinematic look to them? So I'm just playing around with some different styles at the moment. I think going back to this photo, I would just spend some more time experimenting with different styles, but all things considered, I still really like this photo. So next up, we got this photo right here. So this was a kind of an interesting one. So this is actually on a stream, and the ice had froze over the top of the stream, but you could hear the water. And so that indicated that there was like a little cavern underneath the ice. I got down on my stomach and I stuck my camera through this little area where you could see under the ice, and that was the display. Maybe a way I could have done this photo better is by doing a long exposure and capturing that movement of the water a little bit better. But also, I kind of do like the water the way that it is, because it lets the viewer know that it is water. Maybe if I would have used that long exposure, it would have looked too much like ice. So I'm a little bit torn on that. The point is I should have taken both so that I could look at both. When you're out in the field, you should just do your best to take as many photos as possible. That way you have the option of choosing. I like the foreground in this photo, how it's blurred out, and I have like the icicles coming down, and there's a little bit of light kind of in the background of this photo that I really like. It's kind of shining through and touching the water. But again, I don't think this is something that I would post. I like the photo, I just don't think the photo is to the level that I want it to be. I think it's really cool. Maybe I'd throw it in with a story. Maybe I'd use it with some text or something like that. But all around, this photo doesn't really have that wow factor that I'm looking for a post online. Bam. Okay, so this photo actually might be one of the best photos I've ever taken, in my opinion. It was a drone shot, obviously. Unless I could fly, then it wouldn't be. It was stupid. Anyway, took this photo at around 7:30 in the morning when the sun was coming up, and I noticed this super tall tree in the distance, and the sun was just right behind it. So I put the drone up in the sky and I lined it up so that the sun was right behind it, and it just turned out incredible. I mean, we had snow the night before, so all of the pines had snow all over them. You can clearly tell that it's winter time and that the trees are frosted over, but that warm sun is coming up, and so you get that cold and warm tone in the same photo, and I find it just really works. I also got some wicked drone shots that I'll put up on the screen right now. This is actually the most liked photo I've ever had online too. I don't think that you should post your photos just for likes. I think that you should post the photos that you like because it's your portfolio that you're building. If you're going for a particular style, then you should just stick to that. That's a whole other video, consistency online and that sort of thing, and staying true to who you are. But this was the most liked photo that I ever posted. And to kind of talk about the Instagram algorithm for a second, I know it changes often, but I think what happened with this photo is enough of a percentage of my following engaged with it. And because of that, the app recognized that it should push this photo to a bigger audience. And I think that's what happened, is more people saw this photo because the initial people actually engaged with it. And that was really cool for me. You know, it's always a good feeling when people recognize your work and they really like it. I got a couple more contenders, but I think this is my favorite photo so far that I've taken this year. So next up, we got this moon that's hanging out just above these winter trees. And I took this photo the same morning as that drone photo I just showed you. It was a really magical morning. There's kind of these pinkish hues still in the sky, and it gave off this really great kind of winter wonderland vibe. So I, took advantage. I saw this photo, I took it, and I just really like the composition here. It's like, even though you have this really beautiful winter tree in the foreground, the moon is still kind of the subject, and your eye is still drawn to the subject. So I think composition-wise, this photo, it works for me. I honestly don't think I would change much about this photo. The only thing maybe is, again, just like figuring out a different way to do some contrast. I'm not sure if I really like the contrasted images or not. I think that's partially because I'm being so influenced by what I see online now. Like, a lot of people kind of have a very similar style that's not so contrasty and has that grain and more cinematic and film look to it. And so, and I do really love that. And so I think I do want to experiment with that a little bit. So maybe I would go back and try this edit again. So this photo of the moon is the first photo that I've taken of the moon that I actually like. And the reason being is because I used the RF 100 to 500, put the camera on a tripod, and I took a really steady image, and you can see a lot of detail in this photo. And that's what I love about this photo. I wish that it was a little earlier in the day so that I could get some color in the background. Like, if the sky was kind of a blue color, I might be able to create a really cool lighting gradient in the image. But overall, I think this image is just a classic. Everybody gets a good shot of the moon, and this is kind of the first one that I've taken that I actually like, and so that's why I'm including it here. So I really love wildlife photography. It's something that just brings a lot of peace and joy. Being able to witness an animal do something out of the ordinary, or just to see a rare animal at all, is extremely exciting, and then to get a photo of it is just a bonus. So in this photo, I was driving on the highway. There was a blizzard outside, pretty dangerous road conditions. Maybe I shouldn't have done this, but I pulled over to the side of the road because on my right hand side, on a frozen lake off of the highway, there was a bunch of crows and this kind of bigger bird eating a carcass. Took a photo, zoomed in later, and found that it was a deer carcass. But they were eating this carcass on the frozen lake, and I knew right away I had to pull over and try to get a photo of it. I walked back maybe 5 minutes toward the lake where I had seen the feasting happening. Sorry, that's disgusting. I saw this golden eagle, and this golden eagle just started flying as soon as I think what happened is the golden eagle saw me, and it just started taking off. And so what happened was I just pulled out my camera. I had already had the settings ready. That's another tip. If you're trying to take wildlife photography, get your camera set up before you get out of your car or before you leave your house. That way you don't miss any action. So I had the camera set up. I saw the eagle flying, and I just snapped off maybe 30, 40 photos. and this is the one that kind of turned out the most. I had to bring this photo back to life by adding a lot of contrast to it, because the original image, I mean, the bird is so far away from where I'm actually standing, and it was snowing, and so there's a bit of that kind of like haze or whatever. I took the photo and I got home and I added some contrast. I gave it a couple of gradients just to draw people's eye in toward the bird a little bit more. And I really like how it turned out. It's very consistent with my theme that I've been doing for a long time, which is kind of these like epic, contrasty shots of animals. But again, this is something that, you know, in better conditions, it wouldn't be snowing so hard, or I would be a lot closer to the animal, so I could reserve a lot of that detail. I think when you have that detail to play with, you don't have to add so much artificial contrast to make the image pop. Bam! So, okay, so this photo right here is my favorite bird photo that I've ever got. I've never had a telephoto lens that can keep so much detail in the image, and I saw this starling when I was downtown in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I took the photo of the starling. It was just perched up, and I was actually quite close to it, maybe like 6-7 feet away from the bird, and so I was able to really zoom in and get a super great shot. And I'm just over the moon with the quality of this photo. I mean, if you zoom in, you can see that there's a reflection of buildings in the bird's eye, and I think that's so cool. Like, I was close enough that you could see that, and the detail and the feathers, it's just, I really love this photo. I added a radial gradient to the top right corner of this photo. By the way, if you guys want me to do a Lightroom tutorial of how I edit photos, let me know in the comments down below and I'll do that. Added a radial gradient to the top right corner of this photo to build some drama here and just add a light source coming in, and I think it adds a lot to this photo, especially where the background is just kind of a gradient itself. It's kind of gray and then it gets darker, and so I used tools to kind of accentuate that in this image and really just draw the viewer into the bird and the detail. I mean, you can't not see it, right? It's right there, but this is definitely my favorite image, I think. I think this is actually my favorite image that I've managed to capture in the past 2 months. Guys, those are just some of the photos that I managed to capture that I wanted to talk about here on camera. What I'm gonna do now is put up a little montage of different video clips and photos that I also managed to capture during the month. Just do a little bit of a photo and video dump here for you. Like I said, I'm gonna be continuing this video format kind of at the end of every single month, just to go over what I was able to capture, or just talk about things that I like and don't like, and get your feedback on them too. And so this is just a space where we can all hang out, look at photos and videos, and talk about it, because who doesn't like talking about photo and video? But anyways, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Waliwin, my name is Nate Gaffney, and I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy this montage. Cheers.